Okay, guys, rural life changes. Late 1800s, early 1900s. Mechanization on the farm is our theme for today. If you have questions, please ask as we go. What is that machine doing right there?
It's cut.
That is a modern day reaper. Compare that one to the one in your book. Which one looks better? Easy, the 2009 model here. This one looks really good. The one in your book, though, guys, was it better? How did they reap before this?
With horses.
With their hands. That's called manual what? When you use your hands?
Labor.
Manual labor. And guys, that's not a fun way to work. Think of a way that you do manual labor today. What's one way you do it? What's one way you do it? At home. Labor means work. So what's a work you do at home?
Cooking.
Yeah, you
Taking
can
out
cook.
the trash.
What else? Yeah, taking out the trash, raking leaves, doing.
Carrying books.
That's not really a work. I guess it'd be a work of sort, but yeah, washing dishes by hand. Now, when you think about the machines, isn't it much easier to put them in the dishwasher?
Yeah.
All right, so we do some manual labor. We don't always think about it, but think about on acres out in the Great Plains. It was vast land, and they have hundreds of acres to do by hand. No, that would be very difficult. Manual labor, you do things by hand. Before machines, all work was done by the hands of humans. Large farms took lots of workers. Now, we know from our study of the past, in 5th grade and 6th grade, how did they get these large workers mainly in the early 1800s? Slaves. Wasn't as easy. In the late 1800s, they had to pay people. They didn't have slavery. It was illegal. So you have to pay people to get out there and work. And this is cotton picking done by hand. But even wheat threshing, you would have to get out there and do it by hand. So very difficult. Look at this for an example. This is a cotton picking machine today. Look at that thing. You think it would pick more cotton than maybe 50 workers?
Yep.
Or probably more, guys. This thing can really suck the cotton up off the branches there.
And doesn't it separate it from the seeds?
They have the modern cotton gin does that. Remember the cotton gin? The modern ones are unreal how fast they are. Yes.
On one of the early, not the early, but newer reefers,
Mhm.
I've seen them take them apart and it looks really complicated.
I'm sure they are complicated compared to these early ones. Probably very complicated. Guys, what about plowing out on the Great Plains or on these farms? How did they plow before machines? Today we have.
They
By
had
hand.
horses.
They had horses that pulled them, oxen, mules, and they did it with
Sometimes
a.
they had to pull it
When they
themselves.
plow by hand, sometimes they did. If they were putting forward a mule, they would have to get out there, but that was rare. So they plowed with horses. Early 1900s tractor. Check that thing out.
Oh my gosh.
We've come a long way with tractors, haven't we?
They had no
All right.
tires.
Had wooden tires. Now, of course, rubber is going to be invented. Charles Goodyear, and they're going to be able to add tires to these later.
Look at the wheel.
Now, guys, how did they reap that wheat?
Slow and hard.
Slow and hard with a, what do you call this thing he's got?
Reaper.
It's a sickle. How many of you guys, he's cutting. How many of you seen the Grim Reaper?
Ooh.
What's he always go to get his victims with? Sickle. He cuts them down with a sickle, not really, but in fantasy. Guys, the farmer is doing the same thing. How long would that take? Look behind him.
That would take like forever.
A long time.
About
So you
a month.
see how machines, guys, you see the first reaper this is the first reaper in the 1800s, had a cutter. It was still not real fast, but it was better than having to do it by hand.
But it's still pulled by.
Mechanical reaper in action, much easier than what he was doing, right?
Uh-huh.
You see him sitting on it, the horse pulling here, and the reaper cutting as he goes. How did farmers separate? You know that wheat, you can only use a part of it at the top. You can't use the entire thing. So how did they separate it early on? Look at this.
Hands.
Slowly, they beat it with their hands. They would get like almost like a broom, and they would take it and they would beat like this all day. Think that'd get tiring? You see the women here beating the wheat. Wha-choo. This is how they separated it. And then they had to go pick it up. Talk about taking a long time.
Man, that would take forever.
Late 1800s, new machine, the threshing machine. You got it. I think it was one of your words, wasn't it? Look.
Yeah.
It separates the grain from the plant stalks. It gets the usable part of the wheat from the unusable. Okay?
Bigger than anything.
It cuts it. All right, now, think about farmers on the dairy farms in the Midwest.
That's a fat.
How did they milk their farms on the Great Plains before these machines? By hand. Y'all ever milked a cow?
No.
Slow, isn't it? Who's milked a cow? Is it slow? Is it
Yes.
comfortable?
No.
It takes a while, doesn't it? And they know if you got cold hands, they move, don't they?
Yes.
I remember trying to do it as a kid with my granddad. So guys, they milk cows before machines like that. 1862, L.O. Colvin invents the milking machine. And guys, it makes it much easier to get milk. Sucking it up out of the cow. You attach it, the moo-moo doesn't know the difference. It's giving milk. It feels the tug, and so that's how it fits on one. But it's
Does that
improved
hurt
over the
the cow?
years. There's a 2009 portable milking machine. You see how they put it on, and it moves around on wheels.
Miss Miller, could that hurt the cow?
No.
It's just like a baby.
Guys, once you got your milk, you had to separate it. Milk's not ready to drink straight out of a cow. You got to get the cream off to rise to the top. How'd they do that? By what early on? They put it in a churn. Y'all ever seen a churn like that?
Yeah. They turn butter.
And they did this all day.
They did that
Does
with
that look
butter,
fun?
too.
No.
That would get old, wouldn't it?
They
All
had to do
day.
that with butter.
So that, yeah, that's how you separate and you make butter. In 1879, here's the machine that helped the farmers. Gustave Laval invents the cream separating machine to do that. Today, plug them in, the cream, it moves it, keeps it going, and it separates it. You don't have to touch it hardly. No work for you. So guys, these machines are wonderful. So, how did all these new machines benefit farmers? You give me the answer here. They worked what more than people could? Harder, faster, good. They could get more work done in what? Less time. They could farm what?
More.
More land. Farmers could also make what? More what? Cash crops. And they could make more what?
Money.
Money. Guys, it was all about making money. You can make more milk. Where are you going to ship all that milk? You got trains coming out here. Where are you going to ship all that milk?
City.
Cities. You got all these immigrants coming in.
Factory.
Lots of new kids being born. You're going to ship it to New York and Chicago and Boston where the people are. And you're going to make money. Wheat. You're going to make bread. You're going to send it to the bread factory. It's going to be made into breads and flour and things of that sort. You going to make money?
Yes.
All right, yes, you're going to make a lot more with these machines. So they were such a benefit to farmers.
Are we supposed to write something?
You can? What's a note that you can take? Somebody give me one good note for 73 that you can put down. Ashley.
They did most things. Most things that they did were they did it by hand.
Okay, before what? Before machines. All right, what else?
They worked slow and hard.
Before what?
Machines.
Before machines. So everything comes back to how these changed their life. Give me a machine that we see they invented in the late 1800s. What's one that they invented? The reaper. What's another one they invented? Huh?
That milk machine.
The milking machine. What's another
The
one?
butter. Wait, no.
The creamer. The modern day, okay, the modern day cream separator. Any other ones that they invented? What's the one that separates the wheat
There's
from the
Thresher.
threshing machine? All right. So guys, these are just, what about the one that you ride on every day? Come on the farm, the tractor, sure. Tractor, you don't have to have horses anymore, guys. This is huge in the early 1900s, late 1800s. No horses. If you can afford one, you can have a tractor. So guys, all these things are really going to help farmers improve. All right. Cut. Guys, we're going to stop there.